What's going on, Cal? How's you, man?
Great, sir. How about you, cuz?
Man, making it happen. I'm excited for this one today, man. This is wittingly responding as people should, and we got a hot one today. We're going to talk about how do we break the cycle of negative self-talk, and I love it, man. I'm excited about it.
I'm
Yes,
Cal and
sir.
Dave Jones are the host of the show. We living in some difficult times, as most of us know. Let's lift each other up and put down the stress. If you didn't know, the name of the show is called Rap.
All right, this is rap. So, we always want to get together, be transparent, and share love to give us things that how do we need to respond to the situations that come up in life. And we just going to kick it with you today and open up. So, if you're struggling in a position that you are in your mind, have been putting yourself down, usually the result of this is negative self esteem or low self esteem, where you don't even have confidence within yourself to produce the things that you see in your mind to create. And if you stay in that rhythm too long, of telling yourself what you can or cannot do, eventually you get stuck or paralyzed in whatever stage of life you're on, the thing that you're producing. We really want to kind of target those who are trying to build something because we are creators. And if you're not creating nothing, there is no progress. And when there's no progress, there is no happiness. And that's just
Right.
how it is. Right. And so we want to get to diving in here. So, bro, I want to open up and show that we all struggle in these areas at different times in our life. And so we want to do a little different today and ask each other questions as we kick it about it. But before we jump in, have you ever experienced anything like having negative, like where you talk to yourself negatively about situations?
Yeah, man. I mean, we all have, I think, experienced that. I mean, you have relationships that fail. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that's, mature in they self, they look at they faults in it. You know what I'm saying? Once you get outside the actual breakup of a relationship, you kind of deal with yourself and kind of talk down on yourself or deal with yourself about why you failing or what you did wrong and kind of beat yourself up in business. You know what I'm saying? I did multiple businesses that I'm no longer doing. So you look at, you know what I'm saying, you feel like you're a failure in business and different things. So it's a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, going through life that you look at yourself and you kind of beat yourself up and talk down on yourself. But through the faith of God, bro, you know what I'm saying, to keep yourself uplifted and keep that faith in him that allows you to build yourself up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, exactly. So you touched on relationships. There's times where you talk to yourself, also business where you talk to where it's possible to talk to yourself in negative situations. And you get enough of these things, you will look around and think there's nothing good that you
Right.
have in life. This is like the seat of like, I just don't want to be here. I don't like life. And why am I doing this? What's the point of all this? So I want to target some specific topics. Can you give me a time where you had a negative thought about yourself, whatever it is, whatever you could share uh, that you may have had?
I thought I just did, but you talking about an in Pacific
Yeah, it's
situation?
specific. Like I'll yeah, I
Well,
have specific times when I had
yeah,
negative
well,
stuff.
we just touch on the oil change facility on Davidson, man. I spent 13 years over there. Well, I bought the building. I spent 13 years over there rehabbing the building, just running out of money, getting a little money, putting it in it to where I finally got it open. I realized that I overdid it. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, people used to come in there and before they even ask us a price on something, they say, y'all put so much money in this building. I know y'all price is high, and I walk right out. But when I decided to walk away from that business with the pandemic because I wasn't a mechanic, I kind of kicked myself in the butt because I'm like, I should have been going to school while I was fixing this building up for mechanics. You know what I'm saying? I automatically figured that, if I provide the right opportunity, the right business space, the right, looking business and ran it a certain way that I would get the right help. And this, I had to learn through running that business that my advice to anybody running a business would be make sure you can run the business and do everything inside the business without outside of anybody else, because that's why I feel like I failed at the most. You know what I'm saying? I felt like, you know, had I could do it all over again, I would make sure that, what I'm saying, I'm the best mechanic in there. You know what I'm saying? So I beat myself up real bad about that because of all the time I tied up and invested in that actual business. And then actually to walk away from it, which, it's still profitable to me because, I leased it out. But at the same time, it wasn't like, it wasn't that wasn't my plan for the business. I built the business to actually run it. So
Right.
when I decided, pick myself up and just honestly be honest, actually be honest with myself and say, this ain't the business for me, because I can't fully run it without, somebody else being there, then, it kind of hurt me, So I was kind of kicking myself.
Yeah, no, that's
You know what I'm
good.
saying?
So basically, what you feel is a mistake or your ability not to execute it according to the plan that you had in mind, you begin to have some self-doubt, self-thoughts about yourself, about your abilities, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Have you had any situations where you had any self-doubt, or different
Right,
situations where?
absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so funny, boy. I think, I talk to a lot of people, but specifically, and I noticed that this is with everybody, and this is why I wanted to bring the topic up today, but specifically to me, the major thing in my life, because to be honest, there's self-doubt or self-negative talk, if you're not careful, that can happen every day. But one of the major things that I had in life was basically having not been able to make a decision to reimagine or recreate or reinvent myself in life. As seasons go, you change opportunities that you want to present. And I went through a season where I was in total indecision about what I wanted to do and the next thing that I wanted to build. And if you're in a position that you're in indecision about what you're creating, for me, I began to second guess everything, because I was like, well, if I do this, there's something else over there. I began to, after a while of second guessing, you start to evaluate yourself or your day's progress. And I was like, man, I'm not doing anything compared to what I know I should be doing.
Right.
So after a while, it's like, I'm not even successful, or I'm not even doing nothing. I'm tripping. And so you start telling yourself, you start claiming this, I ain't progressing. I ain't progressing. I'm not moving. I'm not at the pace that I should. And I started looking at my age compared to what I thought I was going to be at that time. And so these are all these negative things. And I start seeing these. And what happened, it caused me to go deeper into a valley, deeper into that hole that I was digging about the lack of progress. And again, progress equals happiness. And so again, if there's no progress, there was a lot of days that I was unhappy. Now I still claim to have joy because I began to focus on other things. But if I'm quite honest, there was a lot of unhappy times. And in that position, I had to shake myself to figure out how to get out of it. But absolutely, man, indecision for me is the main thing that caused a lot of negative doubt and created some low self-esteem in my life.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. I actually had a meeting with a partner of mine, man. Monday, I took him to breakfast just to pick his brain and talk to him about some plans that I have for the future that God put on my heart. And he's a probation officer and he's a social worker.
Sweet.
So I was just talking to him about, where he see the youth and what's going on out in the world, because he worked with a lot of the younger cats. And he said, and that's one of the biggest problems he have. Guys don't have no vision. They don't have no understanding on what they're trying to do and where they're going. And when you don't have that, you're existing. You know what I'm saying? You're just existing. And he's saying that's where, he said you'll be surprised at the, the homeless rate of the youth nowadays. And a lot of them just not being educated. He actually said 65% of Detroit kids is not enrolled in school. I was shocked to hear that, 65%. So he said that they actually setting a segue to a program where they basically seeing them a program where it's basically taking them from school, funneling them right into the penitentiary because the mindset and because of the progress of what's going on. So that's very important what you're saying as far as, seeing yourself and understanding what you're doing and where you're going. And I think that's something we all have been through, man, just beating yourself up because you got a tendency of looking at what your plans was, where you thought you was going to be. You get on a roll where things was going good for you and you seen progress and you seen money flowing, and then some type of hiccup come up and kind of reverse what's going on or stop it. And now you at a stagnant place where you're sitting still and trying to figure out, okay, well, I thought this was going to be the ride. I thought I was going to be getting this much money coming in to where I was going to take this money and go over here and do this. And when that stopped, it kind of put a halt in everything you're doing to the point where you don't have you lose sight of vision.
Yeah.
So and a lot of that I feel like is contribute from what you see going on around you too with social media and everything that go on with other people and what they doing, and what I'm saying. So I mean, what type of negative influence or contribute do you feel like, the world or social media or the world has on this thing?
Man, that's a great question. You touched on a lot of good stuff there, but specifically, because we all, got to spend our time in social media or just the media in general. And
Right.
because we have this creative mind, when we see things that are attractive, that seems like that somebody else is progressing, there's an immediate tendency to compare who you are to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And comparison is so dangerous
Yes.
because you don't know their story, neither does it relate to your story if we had to look at the big scheme of things here, right? And so for me, if a person is comparing themselves to other people just by way of just being aware of what's on through social media, because we all putting our highlights out there, and if you sit there, you're looking at this person and you're looking at that person all day, every day, in the middle of all the stuff that entertain you, you're like, wow, you know, I think that I am not doing anything. And
Right.
so there becomes a self-evaluation. And so if we're talking about, breaking the cycle of negative self-talk, one of the things that I had to do one day, this is a tool to get you out of this. If you're a person that looks at social media all day in the middle of all the entertainment that you get, you see some people that you may be envious of or jealous of, or have a comparison without intent of this, but you would naturally like, oh man, I could do that. I wish I was there. And you start to frown upon yourself. I went through a season where I just, through the social media accounts that was following certain people, that I felt a little bit of some type of jealousy or envy, right? I unfollowed that person. Not because they did anything wrong, because it was triggering something in me to cause me to look at myself and to doubt myself about where I am. And so the goal, we know social media is it's amoral, meaning that you can use it for your benefit, and there it doesn't have to be negative, even though most of us use it as negative, right? And so I started to only follow the people that I was inspired by, that motivated me, that spoke into my life, as opposed to only, because there's this tendency that we have in the world to be competitively, where we want to show you that we're more than you, right? And so that spirit comes out a lot of the people that we follow, and it doesn't do anything but push you down and do a negative self-evaluation. So I had to unfollow those people and only follow those that inspired me. Sorry about that. And only follow those that I was inspired by, to give me that motivation again.
Man, that's pretty good, man. And that's one of them things, man. I thank God, man, that I really never battled with in my spirit, man, because I think, it's just me. I use like people that I can't use the word jealous. I envy because I don't have that in me, man. I use people's, you know what I'm saying? I use people's what's the word I'm looking for? I use people's advancement. That's a good word. Advancement and coming up and
The
getting
accomplishments.
accomplishments. I use them for motivation, man.
Right.
It's hard for me to really get in a place where I can look at. I think it comes from my struggle, man, with my upbringing and how hard life was for me, struggling, not having nothing. It's hard for me to look at anything somebody got. You know what I'm saying? Whether it came from the hard grind, getting it out the mud, or whether it was blessed enough to be born in the right family and be passed down generational wealth. It's hard for me to, be envy of somebody or jealous of somebody. It's just like I use it for motivation. And a lot of times, I get close to a person and I pick their brain and see what their spirit like, to see if they willing to share, you know what I'm saying? And if they not, you know what I'm saying, I just keep my spirit open for God to deal with me and take me where He's trying to take me. And if they real like that, to where they give you some game. And that's why I try to be an open book, man, because I think everything we go through, God gives the experiences to, make life easier for somebody else. So, I just I really tap into, what I'm saying, people. I'm a real good observer. I try to observe, things, or I try to see. I take what I can use from a person's life and apply it to mine, you know what I'm saying? And what ain't profitable to me, you know what I'm saying, or positive to me, I tend not to pay it attention, or I throw it away, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's good. And and I think that's a great gift, to be able to look at anybody's situation, and see how you can produce, and not have that, like you said, jealous, because there's a connotation to these words or image that we get. For me, it was more so I could do that type deal.
Right.
Again,
Right.
not a they shouldn't
Right.
have it, but I can
Right.
do that.
Right.
And when I don't do that, or I haven't done that, then it was a point where I said, again, negative self-talk. Why haven't you done that? Why aren't
Right.
you there? You follow what I'm saying? And so
You
that's
find it putting a harder stigma on yourself to where you beating yourself up more instead of getting yourself out the hole. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, let me not follow this person no more because it's putting me in a deeper rut versus getting me to a place where I'm feeling positive and motivated. I feel
right. Because it's an uncontrollable, and I'm saying this because I know somebody else struggles, because the Bible says there is no temptation uncommon to man. Basically, whatever you go through that negatively affected you, you better believe somebody else
going through it. Yeah.
So we're going to eventually talk about ways that we could get out of this, but inevitably there's a voice that, and it could be a voice, even though it sounds negative at the time, it could be a good voice to prompt you to do something, or to say, hey, you can do more, instead of be in this tolerance or comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? When you look at somebody else, that voice could tell you, like, this is your ability. You have this ability. It's a reminder of your ability. But if you don't take that voice for what it is, as a wake-up call, you'll take that voice as a negative definition or a negative command to who you are and what you have not become yet. And so in order to get out of this, I think, you know, a lot of us may be in this particular situation because I went to this business lunch yesterday, very, very wealthy people, and it was some hot stuff going on in this particular lunch. But the presenter was talking about their six stages to life, and I want to talk about the first two. I'll name them all, but he say there's levels of life that we all are on, and if you're unhappy or if you don't feel that you're growing, you in the first level, which is aimlessness. You don't have an aim. There's no direction of where you're going, and so we're just, like you said, existing with no purpose. And when you're existing with no purpose and no aim, the target is everywhere. So there's chaos in your brain, right? The next level is where you have an aim, you know what you want to do, but you haven't really you're not doing the things you know you should do. That's stuck, right? So I'm supposed to be this realtor. I'm supposed to be this, you know, husband. I'm supposed to be this person that's an entrepreneur, but I ain't doing the stuff I know how to do. So you stuck. And then there's those who find there's a coasting, right? Where you got enough to pay your bills and to just be right above broke. But at the same time, you're in a position that you're not advancing that progress. You're not becoming more because you can do whatever you need to do to get by. Right. And so when you're doing what you do to get by. So again, all of these are different places to where if you're not careful, we'll slide into a comfort zone and we'll start talking to ourselves to be stagnant in the area when we know the last one, just not to spend too much time here, is actually 5 and 6 are thriving and then mastering, where we're mastering and dominating the thing that we've decided to do, and we're scaling and growing. And so based upon where you are in this particular situation determines pretty much the happiness level, right? Because your progress is based on, or your happiness is based on progress. And so I think if we are in a position that we're doing a lot of self-negative talk, you got to ask yourself, where am I in this particular area? And what do I need to do? Who do I need to connect to so that I can increase my level to mastery and dominating in a thing that's telling me that I'm not good enough?
Right. That's good. Yeah. And I think, you know, perspective, putting things in proper perspective, because, like, you know, you got to start where you at with things and accomplish what you can accomplish, you know what I'm saying, in the order you can accomplish, depending on where your finances is at too, because a lot of us have visions and dreams for things we want to do, but when we don't have the finances to do it, we tend to want to drop the ball because we feel like we can't see the vision come to pass. But, you know, just writing the thing down and setting it up and just doing the things you can do inside, getting to a point where you can come up on the resources to do it. I think that's important too, because a lot of times we try to bring ourselves out these ruts, you know what I'm saying, of negativity, but financially we can't see ourselves coming out of it, to where that puts a lot of doubt in people, you know what I'm saying, because that's the biggest thing with anything you're trying to do is the financial side of it. And if you can't see where you're going to get the resources from to do anything, that'll leave you in a depression in itself. So I think just all the preparation you can do leading up to the thing, you know what I'm saying, even even with the finances, you know what I'm saying, building your credit and doing different things that you can do to just, you know what I'm saying, start small to get to the point where you can build up to getting yourself motivated to actually pull the trigger on something. All the necessary steps is important.
Yeah, I think that's good. And we can kind of wrap up here with this. The Those are all great points. I think the answer to all of this is if there's negative self-talk in your mind, always remember there is an answer out there if we seek in it. And it's not our situation that's the problem, it's how we look at our situation. So using those examples, if you don't have resources and we keep telling ourselves, I don't have enough money, because that's a common thing to say, I need more money to do the things I need to do, to build the teams, to buy this equipment, whatever it is, right? What you do have is the vision. And the vision or the idea is just as important as the money. This is why banks exist. The banks are only there relative to business banking. I used to be a business banker. Is they're looking for people with good ideas that they can invest the money that they have in. And if you know that you don't, like you said, your credit's not good enough, where there's another answer. There are people who are not necessarily looking for interest, but maybe partnership, that if you got a good idea, they sitting on a resource. They're looking for ways to place their money in opportunity. So you need to partner with somebody who has the resources. Matter of fact, that's one of the reasons that you and I got together. I had, you know what I'm saying, money that I had, you know what I'm saying, that I wanted to find somebody who was working, who was grinding, and I was connected to you. This is actually our story. This is when you was over there building on Davidson, and you had this great vision, but there's a couple other things that we needed to get accomplished. And it was like, let's partner together. Your brilliant idea, these things you've already started. Hey, I got some of the resources. Let's connect and let's combine our forces and then go to the next level. And so, and then if there's not the resource, you got the idea, then maybe you don't know how to do the work. Well, you find somebody who knows how to do the work. So who is it that knows how to go ahead and execute on these things, right? In a different position. So the point is, there's always an answer to where you are, that if you focus on seeking, not looking, there's a difference. Seeking is where you move stuff, you ask questions, you make networks, where you actually look for God in situations and opportunity, and stop telling ourselves that we can't. We will find the people that are there to solve the problem that's in front of us. And the more we pursue this, the easier it is to stop telling ourselves that we can't, while we watching everybody else seem to move a little faster than we are, is what I have in that. So I think there's opportunity for all of us to just take a moment to ask God, what is it that I can do? Ask God, what is it who is it that is out there that can solve the puzzle or the missing piece, right? What's missing? Because it's always if there's a problem, it's what's wrong, what's lacking, what's missing. Well, how do I fix what's missing, right? And who is that person that I can connect myself to and synergize so we can build it?
Yeah, that's good, man. I think we pretty much did a good job.
Right? Seem like, yeah, man. So we can wrap up with here. Like, I hope this was a help to you guys. I think the final thing that I want to say just to close it is that don't get stuck in a negative self-talk, because the more we tell ourselves what's wrong, the more we bake that behavior of what we're not, and it affects our self-esteem. Anybody who's listening to this, I believe that we were here to tell you that there is a way for you to advance to the next level if we decide to rethink the negative thoughts we have. And this is an effort. This is a attention to detail about what's going in our own mind. The Bible says it like this: guard your heart. That is the subconscious, those negative thoughts that we're saying. You have to guard your heart, because it protects you from the issues of life. And the issue of life in this case is negative self-talk. And you can see now, when that veil is removed, that filter of I can't, you can see the opportunities that's in front of you, and you can go to the next level. So that's all I have, bro. You good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quick prayer. Father God, we come to you through your son, Jesus Christ, God. Thanking you, God, for vision, God, allowing us to be motivated in our spirits and our ideas and the things, God, that you put on our heart to do. Give us the ability to bring some of these things to pass. Allow us to just, have the ambition to reach out there and touch some of those goals. Show us the things that we're doing wrong. Show us the things that we need to do to allow us to be more tangible. God, allow us to be more loving and caring to others. Allow us to just, have supernatural beliefs and the things we need to do. Watch over our children. God, give us all the resources we need to accomplish some of these businesses, some of our
I'm gonna go ahead and finish that prayer. To accomplish some of our businesses, to accomplish some of these dreams, and we bind the attacks of the enemy, which sends up negative ideas, negative thoughts about ourselves, because they are a lie. We know the truth is that we are creative. We know the truth is that we are going to produce. We know the truth is that God has an expected end for us. And if we just submit to the principles, the right concepts, the right thoughts, that we can produce these things in our lives and connect us with the right people, God. We ask you that you open up our eyes, that we see the people that you send in our lives, that we can hear your voice. Some of us have been praying and been asking for an answer. Dear God, we ask you that you would open our eyes, that you would reveal yourself to us through people, because you can only move through the hands and the minds of other people. So connect us with the right person that give us accountability, that give us the motivation, that give us the energy to produce the things that you have in our mind. God, we thank you. We love you. We honor you for this day. And this is a wrap, baby. Willingly respond as people should. So you have to be willing to take any detail that you may have gotten in this call and to begin to activate it in your life today. And so I hope we planted a seed that will cause you to matriculate and get out of this negative self-talk, but start speaking life into yourself. It's a wrap.
I'm Cal and Dave Jones are the host of the show. We living in some difficult times, as most of us know. Let's lift each other up and put down the stress. If you didn't know, the name of the show is called Rap.